Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're talking about principles and why principles are so important to have in your life. A life without principles is essentially a life without purpose. Loyalty to nothing. Principles not only serve as the foundation for your conduct, but the way you go about striving for the goals you wish to achieve as well. They keep you in line and help you not stray off into the realm of crime, drugs, and other negative habits that only serve to set you back in life. Living by principles doesn't usually appeal to very many people though, because it's essentially a self-made restriction on your own freedom, and people love their freedom. And it takes a lot of discipline to restrict your own freedom by your own hand. And a life of freedom is always nice, but too much freedom typically produces a lack of productivity and efficiency in life. You grow too comfortable with endless freedom. You're never really forced to be sharp and on point. Principles are a way that those with an easy, cushy, or more privileged life, if you will, can simulate hardship to callous their minds when the world outside otherwise can't. Imagine endless freedom being a giant open field, free for you to roam with no danger in sight. Lack of freedom is turning that field into a cliff and traversing along the edge. You can't afford to make mistakes. You're sharp, your actions have purpose, and then when you're actually thrown into a situation where your freedom is involuntarily restricted, you've been traversing the edges of cliffs for so long you don't feel like a fish out of water. You're comfortable here. It doesn't feel unfamiliar to you. Principles give you something to stand by and fight for. Religions are a very common way people find solid principles to live by, but to those who aren't very religious, I definitely do recommend thinking more and trying to build in your mind some principles you could live by. And some examples of this could be not allowing yourself to be stepped on and disrespected, not lying for personal gain, not letting yourself become everybody else's crutch, becoming more independent and less reliant on everybody around you, not letting your emotions guide you into poor decision making or dictating your decisions too heavily in general, healthier eating, not turning to drugs or other harmful outside substances to cure your issues like boredom, depression, etc. And there's many more. But those are just a few at the top of my head. Sometimes staying true to your principles in life is uncomfortable. Sometimes it hurts. Oftentimes it's not the easy way, but that's the point. It prevents you from becoming a slave to cheap hits of dopamine and all the enticing luxuries of life. It's consistently giving you a little bit of adversity to overcome. It creates character. Back when I was in high school, I used to always do things to strengthen myself. I'd call it breaking myself. When offered a ride back home after school from somebody, I'd turn it down and walk back home in the cold instead. I'd practice fasting, cold showers, restricting my sleep. And mind you, I was in high school, so I didn't go about everything in the most ideal or healthy way, and I found better ways to go about them since then. But initially, I just go out of my way to make myself suffer. My philosophy was that anything could be taken from me at any given moment. My food, my warm water, my rides home, etc. I made myself comfortable with living without these privileges that I've grown so used to having, so that if they'd ever be taken from me, I could readapt fast and carry on with ease. Of course, everybody thought I was just weird as shit and crazy, and you can say I'm crazy, but I look around at my peers and I am so far ahead compared to all of them just in life and happiness in general that, hey, if you can call me crazy, but at the end of the day, it worked for me. So find what works for you. And the thing was, it leveled me out. I used to be such a bad kid with zero principles, getting chased by police, swatted, shot at, stabbed, fighting constantly, breaking into shit, scamming, robbing, you name it, I've done it. I was soulless, completely desensitized to punishment or fear and devoid of emotion and feeling. When I began to apply principles in my life, it felt like everything turned around. What you put out into the world is what you will get back. And if you've got a foundation built upon being a decent person and putting good out into the world, not only for others but for yourself as well, you will see growth and improvement in your life. I've been saying this for years. Hardships harden your ship. Weak people drown when they have nobody to assist them in life constantly. If you wish to see what something is made of, what do? You break it apart. You observe what's inside. The only way to observe what's inside is to break it apart. How else will you really know what you're made of unless you break yourself? You learn a lot about yourself when you strip the veil of comfortability away. You see what really lies underneath. Don't succumb to your vices. Try to find the solutions to your problems within yourself. This will build a bond between you and you. Your inner self-worth and value will rise, And you'll see yourself as more capable, strong, and maybe even willing to take on more challenges to really test yourself. The thing about principles, though, is they're impossible to follow if you have no expectations for yourself. You need to expect the best and no less from yourself. You need to want to put your best foot forward. You've got to be competitive with yourself, constantly striving to do better and be better than what you were the day before. Because there's no real immediate punishment for going against your principles. It's all a matter of self-discipline. You've got to discipline yourself when you're slacking. But sadly, nobody really wants to do that because it takes a level of self-awareness to know deep down that you are not doing enough and why. And you need to realize that and put it in check. And what principles serve as is essentially the glue that keeps all of this intact. And since I never really gravitated towards religion and all that stuff, I guess the moment where I really found solid principles to live by and when my principles really started taking a lead role in my life is when I joined an MMA gym, which was fresh out of high school. I joined an MMA gym, and with mixed martial arts, it really does teach you a lot of very important principles, and we see these play out in people like Khabib, people that are essentially given the world and don't go balls to the wall with it, and don't turn into a Conor McGregor, which this was a dude who came from humble beginnings, and his dream realized itself for him, and he just completely went batshit, and you could say money changed him and it turned him into a goblin, but all money really serves to do for people is really expose what's always been there. It just puts it on the forefront because you can finally live out what you've been seeking to live out your entire life. It brings what's dormant in you into the spotlight so people can really see what you are. I always think it's so funny when people say money changed people or money does this, money corrupts people and turns them evil and all this stuff. No, money doesn't do that. All money does is show everybody what's been living inside of you this whole time. If you're crazy, money is probably bound to make you crazier because now you can be crazy and not have to have financial distress every time you make a terrible decision. And having lots of money just essentially lets you do whatever you want with very little pushback. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hopefully took something from it that you could apply to your real life and just use as something to motivate you, or even just if you don't apply it to your real life, at least you heard me and you can maybe consider it further down the road for all you know, because this may not be the answer for you now, but it may be the answer for you later. And that's what happens. We hear things now and then we kind of pick them back up later on when we thought we would forget about it or it meant nothing. These things subconsciously stick with you if your brain just kind of like slips in a folder and takes it back out when you need it the most, and when you find it relevant. And if not, I'm still grateful that you listen. So thank you very much. If you like this video, like and sub, do all that, post notifications on if you want. I'm not gonna pressure you to do anything you don't want to do now, but hey, yeah, appreciate you all for watching. So thank you very much, and yeah, peace.